So the episode is going to be, the topic will be when you screw up, ...
Because everybody does.
Yeah. So to kind of give the background, we came in to record last week, and we ended up ending the recording, and and the episode was going to be on the struggles of women, just like we did one on the struggles of men, and that was my topic. However, like, I have to take full responsibility in the fact that I was asking questions in a way that was not very kind and loving, and I didn't realize I was coming across that way, obviously at the time. But when I look back and reflected on it, the way that I was kind of asking those questions, and my intent was to look for to dig deeper into what was really the struggles, and I just came across, like, maybe like how I would interview a guy. and I think that's the thing, is I'm used to interviewing guys, used to doing podcasts and stuff. And I was like, and it is tough. I mean, it is tough, I think, every week to come out here and to share, talk about sensitive topics and discuss them, and, and also to share our own stuff and vulnerabilities. But I feel like we're not being totally transparent if we don't say, hey, from time to time, you're going to mess up, you're going to have struggles. And, and I think it's important to be honest and to be open, and not even, we didn't have to let anyone know that we didn't publish an episode, but I think it's a good thing to talk about. So,
no, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think it's important. And even though there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to like talk about it. And we talked about that part where it's like people assume they know you and everything about you from the few things. And we've never tried to act like we're perfect and we don't fight, or we don't, well, I don't even want to say fight, because we don't yell at each other.
Really
we don't
fight.
Call each other names, but that we don't struggle with things, right? Like there is definitely a lot of our relationship that's easy and loving and just having a good time, but there are the hard conversations that we have to have. And, it's hard to be vulnerable to the internet because they're going to be like, oh, well, why are these people giving advice? Because they're not even doing it right. You know what I mean? But that is the human experience. And you are right. Like when we talked about it, like it is the right thing to do to put that out there, because it just shows that we are actually putting in the work that we say we are. And, we're going through challenges and getting out on the other side of things rather than allowing it to like ruin our relationship. So you're right. It is better to be vulnerable, even though it's really hard.
Yeah. Especially when people are already attacking you, you know what I mean? Like every time we publish, not so much the big episodes, but the clips for sure. It's like, there's a lot of, and again, it's a very small percentage of the people. And I try to reiterate that, but it does, it's like people will come out there and attack you. And it's, I guess it's not even as bad when you're being attacked on stuff that's not so vulnerable, but like when you're out here discussing some of this.
Can't wait to see the comments on these clips when we post it. Yeah. But no, like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do think too, seeing a lot of the negativity on our videos, because I'm the one that kind of like monitors a lot of our stuff, has really kind of put me back in that like angry girl mode. And I'm not trying to be. It's just kind of like triggered me, I guess, back into like how I was before, where it's, constantly feeling like attacked by men, or like you're not good enough, or like all of these things. Like now, in the comments, they'll find the smallest thing and be like, break up with her, she talks too much or something. And it's like, I know you would never do that. And I don't really care. Like, I know you're not going to.
I can't break up with you. We're married. Well, I break up with you.
Besides that, I'm like, I know you're not going to listen to like Bob 57.
But it is scary still. It's like someone's telling you to leave your partner. Like,
well, more it's like, it makes me feel like I have to be defensive.
Yeah.
And that is like a masculine thing.
Right.
And so I feel like that's probably why a lot of people feel like I've been more masculine in some of the episodes. And two, it's also like talking about the women's perspective of things can be frustrating, just like when men talk about how they can't even get a date, that's frustrating. So it's not me like being frustrated at like men currently, because I don't care how men act currently. I have the best man that there is. And I'm not just saying that, like I genuinely believe that. So like, it's not like I'm mad at them because like I'm still out here looking for somebody. But I'm frustrated for women because I'm telling the story of what women really struggle with, you know, and maybe last week I didn't add in some of the things that were important. You're right about that. But like, these are real things that women are frustrated by and upset by. And then it's like men are misconstruing it as like, I'm still projecting that or like projecting it on you when, you know, a lot of the stuff we talk about doesn't have anything necessarily to do with me and you.
Right.
But we've been through it at one point in our lives and are trying to help people through those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Our situation, like, I guess one of the clips was, you know, was talking about the 50-50, and it's like our situation is, Nicole, you are a stay-at-home mom, and I take care of everything financial. I'm the leader of the house. You're the feminine one. I'm the masculine one. You know, we have that order and we have that in place, and and it's how it's when we're happy with it. You know, it's not, you know, so I think sometimes people maybe hear you talking in a clip and they're like, oh, she's taking charge and she's doing, and it's like, no, she's giving an opinion, which I highly value. And that's why I'm letting like, oh, you're just not saying anything. It's like, no, and again, it's a clip, but it's like, no, I value your opinion, you know.
And you do. And I know you do. And you show me that by how you lead our family and our household. Yeah. So like, I think too, that sometimes maybe it's more insecure men who can't handle like a woman saying anything at all. And it's like, and I understand that at times I've been abrasive. And so that comes across the wrong way. I take responsibility for that. But like, and on the other side, I feel like from a woman's, why they're resisting at times, because we do get comments from women too, mostly on TikTok. They've never had a man that they trust to lead. And I've never had a man that I trust to lead until you. And I do really trust you and trust in you as a man and trust in your decisions. Yeah. But I also can see where women hear me say that and they're like, where do these guys even exist anymore? And it's not the guys that are in the comments, you know, like and women can read the comments and see that. Yeah. But, you know, it has been a lot. And like, it's not like the things that these people say, like, physically affect me. Like I said, like, I know you're not going to break up with me, but it's like all the negativity, I guess, and like trying to defend either side. Because a lot of times too, like I can see a man's perspective. Yeah. But a lot of what we talk about in our dynamic of a traditional relationship is that a lot of it is the man's responsibility.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And so like maybe people think that I'm like crapping on guys.
Right. And that direction of it being their man's responsibility came from me. Right. You didn't think it was the man's responsibility when we first met for a lot of things. That's true. Right. And I was like, no. The man is in charge, like in charge, but responsible for these things. Like he's the one who's responsible for the health of the relationship.
Well, because I've seen how you have handled our relationship and how you've helped me by the way that you handle it and by you taking charge and by trusting you.
Somehow some video or something is playing on my phone, or maybe it's your phone, on my phone. Okay. Oh, yeah. And speaking of clips, one of the clips.
Our own episode?
There we go.
I'm like, where was I? No, by the way that you've handled things, you've helped heal me. And the things that are still my personal responsibility to work through, you've helped me by being somebody that I can turn to and trust and rely on. And I guess, too, that's what women don't. This is not going to turn into a woman's thing, but that's what a lot of women don't feel like they have. Yeah. It's like a guy that they've ever really felt like they can rely on. There's plenty of comments too of women who are like, I'm sending this to my husband, or like my husband treats me this way. So they're in something that they still don't feel like they can rely on the man that they chose to marry. And so we're just trying to help people have a better dynamic where you do what you do best.
Right.
And I do what I do best.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then that allows us to be free to be those things and not have to stress about something that isn't even necessarily our lane. You know what I mean? As men and women.
And it's hard to do that as a man, even when you know it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of guys that don't even realize that is the important thing, their responsibility. But again, I'll talk about my own mess ups and where I've been wrong or messed up. But pretty much this whole week, I've been doing the opposite of what I preach. Not because I want to be a hypocrite, but because I just was screwing up. I was letting fears, emotions get the best of me, to be honest, like if I'm being completely honest. And I was not coming across in a very loving way this whole week. And that's, but I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's even when you know what you're supposed to be doing, sometimes you can mess it up as a man. And, I did a video on my YouTube channel and I was talking about how it's like every word that you say goes deep into the heart of a woman that you're with. And, those are very important things for men to understand. So part of the reason why I want to do this episode too is because I wanted to talk about that and say, look, hey, I messed up, but that's okay because I know what to fix, and I'm working in progress, and you trust me to lead, knowing that sometimes I'm gonna fall on my face, and and that'll happen from time to time, but it is still like the man's responsibility. Like he needs to be the lead. It's like, I think what I was trying to do a lot this week even was, again, the opposite of what I've been saying, is kind of blame you for things when I should be taking the full responsibility, even for your actions or behavior, because it's so influenced by how I'm coming across as a man. Because women are reactive. Women are responders. When
you are the leader, that is how it's going to be. Like that is what being the leader encompasses. If you're leading and acting a certain way, the people who are following you are going to act a certain way. Like that's how it is. So like if you're coming at a more defensive way, then that's probably what you're going to get. And two, we've watched a few videos from this one TikToker guy. I don't know his handle to put in here, but he said that masculinity is made and femininity is protected. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah. Preserved or
preserved.
Whatever. Yeah.
And so like when you come at a woman in a more masculine way, which is, more defensive, you're not protecting her.
Right. Exactly.
You're fighting her.
Yeah.
So, that is part of the leader sort of thing. And even though you might have messed up, and I definitely didn't do everything right, like I mentioned some of the things earlier, that I think the key is that you don't give up, because plenty of people mess up and then they're like, well, the relationship's messed up anyway, so I'm just going to do what I want to do. And that's going to end up actually messing up your relationship. But, there are going to be plenty of times where we make mistakes, but the difference is that we work through those things. Like we don't just give up. We're like, okay, we made a mistake. We're human beings, but you and I both know that we actively work towards fixing any sort of bump in the road that our relationship has ever encountered. So like, there's never been a time where I'm like, maybe this was a wrong idea. Never, because I already know who you are. And a lot of times you're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, don't be sorry. Like I've already forgiven you for the things, because I genuinely have, because I know who you are as a man, and I know that you listen to what I have to say. And like, what we've discussed, and that you will actually do what you say you're going to do. Yeah. And that's part of being a man and being a leader too, is doing what you say you're going to do. And you do that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It is hard sometimes. Like,
it is hard.
It is because it is, it's a lot to be able to.
Relationships are hard. Even if you have the best relationship that you've ever had, which I feel like you and I have,
Yeah.
Things are still going to happen.
Better than